Well. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the CSharpCorner MVP show. I'm your host, as always, Stephen Simon, and we are back once again. For some of you who may know, we have started this MVP show once again. We took a halt for about a couple or 3 months because we had this in-person CSharpCorner conference coming in. Then we had New Year and Christmas, and after the Christmas, we l- um, um, have restarted a lot of live shows, and at this instance we are streaming 8 days a week. Yes, we're streaming 8 days a week. I am really excited for today's show because today joining us is MD Sarfara. He's a very active community, not just a C Sharp on community, but I read his articles across the platforms. He's very active. He attends a lot of events in person. I often see him joining us our live shows. He's a complete rock star. And if you want to learn anything and everything about Flutter, this man is a go-to person, right? You should definitely reach him out. He is a creative and pragmatic software developer with over 3+ years of experience. He is young, no doubt. He's young and dynamic and handsome. He works on Flutter. He's a Dart developer. He's a social Indian. And in fact, we were just talking behind the scene. We both started our development journey through Laravel, PHP. I didn't use the code igniter, but yeah, Laravel and definitely MySQL. So without any further ado, let's welcome the rock star of the C Sharp Corner MVP, MD Sarfaraj. Hi, MD. Welcome to the C Sharp
Yeah,
Corner
hi
MVP
Simon,
show.
how are you?
I'm doing absolutely great, MD. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation. I know it's a
Yeah, thank
weekday
you.
and you were at the office now, right? So
Yeah,
thank
I'm in
you.
office. Yeah,
Thank
because of
you.
this show. And first of all, thank you such a wonderful introduction.
No, I mean you deserved it, right? I mean you have worked so much in the community, right? You are in the across ecosystem, and I really like that. So MD, for the folks who do not know, why don't you go ahead and give a quick introduction about who you are and for where you're joining us today?
So myself, MD Sarfraz, and currently I'm working as a mobile application developer in Apsys. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
previously I was working as a PHP developer, but when Flutter launched in
Yes.
2018, then in 2020 I saw it's going to boom. Then I switched my career. That I got a chance in my
Wow.
first company to build apps with Flutter. So I switched my career in Flutter and I started working on the Flutter.
That
And
is
currently, today I'm joining from Hyderabad because I'm working in office. So yeah, uh, I am joining from Hyderabad.
this is so
So
exciting, MD, when you say
yeah,
you were a PHP developer and you saw Flutter coming into the market and you started learning it, and then you transitioned from PHP to Flutter, right? And that
yeah.
that is pretty cool thing to know. And have you ever written a blog or an article on how you transitioned from a PHP developer to a Flutter? Have you written anywhere?
No, I didn't return anywhere regarding
But it
this,
would
but
be great help, I'm telling you, right? Because many people would like to move to Flutter, and there's not a lot of content. So yeah, I think you should
yeah,
definitely consider writing it. People would love it.
yeah, but it's a really interesting story. At that time I was working on social engine PHP, and
Hmm.
my manager said, "You already are doing your job in PHP. Then why you want to move to Flutter?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really
Exactly.
interested in mobile application. Give me chance, and I will do something great." And he said, "Okay, but you have to do the PHP work also." I said, "Yeah, it's okay, but I want to do Flutter as well." And yeah, like that we learned from one of Udemy course, and I started
Hmm.
working on the Flutter.
How cool. And that's really nice. So MD, what are we talking about today? I bet it is around Flutter, isn't it?
Yeah, it is Flutter as everybody can see in our thumbnail. Okay, so today I'm going to talking about Flutter with GetX Architect. Okay, so there are so
Mhm.
many architect available in the market like Flutter Block, Provider, Driver Pod. Okay, but there is one more that is GetX. Okay, so GetX is also more popular. Okay, so we'll see how we can create our app with GetX Architect. Okay, and there is one more tool, GetX CLI, and how GetX CLI made things more easier and convenient for us. So today we are going to see these things.
Wow, I'm really excited. And just a quick question. I know I've already started asking my question. I'm sorry about that. When you say
Yeah, that's great.
architecture, when you say GetX architecture, anyone coming from a web development background, I mean, you are a PHP, right? I mean, anyone coming from development background, should they think you're talking about different framework available like Vue, React, and Angular? We have it, right? So when you say architecture, do you mean different kind of frameworks available for the Flutter, and then GetX is one of them? Is that what it means?
Architect in the means of like there will be some when we develop our application, there are some architect
Mhm.
like MVC architect,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
MVVM architect. Okay,
Uh-huh,
so
uh-huh.
GetX is one of them. Okay, where
Oh,
we follow MVC architect. Okay, and it basically manage the state. Okay, so for state management, for dependency injection and navigation, we used GetX.
okay. All right. I'm not gonna take away all the pearls from your session now. I see you sharing a screen, MD. Once you move to your presentation or anything, then I'll start. I'll put it in the screen. I know you're inside StreamYard now. Once you move out,
Yeah.
yeah, you have the agenda. Everybody else can see your screen, MD, and it's all you now.
Okay. So yeah, everybody, welcome to our show. So today I'm going to talk about how you can create an app with GetX Architect in Flutter. So let's start. So today our agenda is what is GetX and feature of GetX, what is GetX CLI, and we'll see how GetX community is well enough. And also in the last we are going to discuss about conclusion. So what is GetX? So GetX is an open source, extra light and powerful solution for developing Flutter apps. State management, intelligent dependency injection, route management can be accomplished quickly and effectively with it. GetX has three main basic pillars: performance, productivity, and organization. So performance, GetX doesn't use stream and change notifier in Flutter. So that is one good thing. That's why GetX is more performance is very good. Okay, and productivity. So GetX syntax is very easy. So you can easily remember those syntaxes. Okay, so it's very easy for developer to remember the syntax and do the things. And they are for every big problem there are always a small solution in GetX. Okay, and also whenever we work on Flutter apps, there are always we have to keep in the mind to remove the unused syntaxes and controller from the volatile memory. But when we use GetX, we don't have to worry about these things because GetX do these things for us. Okay, so that is good thing about productivity in GetX. And the last is organization. So GetX has the good thing is like GetX separate the things like business logic, presentation logic, dependency injection, route management. So GetX separate the things, so it's become very easier for developer to do the things. So now let's talk about features of GetX. So GetX is packed with lots of features, but here we are going to discuss few of them like state management. As I already told, GetX make it easy to manage both local and global state management in your application. And GetX support reactive programming. So GetX also support of RX library. So you can use the RX library and you can make it more faster and more better application. And GetX doesn't have more space. It's very lightweight. And GetX is totally stream based architect. Okay, so GetX use stream and features to handle asynchronous data, which make us easy to update the UI when data changes. Navigation system, GetX has a good navigation and powerful navigation system. Okay, in core Flutter we have to write material navigator, and there are lots of things we have to write to navigate one screen to another. But in GetX, just you have to write get.to name and get.to, and you can easily navigate from one screen so to another screen. So that is one good thing which I liked in GetX. And the last is dependency injection. So you can create your service like for push notification, for uh, network service, and you can easily inject those dependencies before starting the application. So that is good thing that you can do with the GetX. So next is what is GetX CLI. So GetX CLI is a command line interface. Okay, that will help you to create GetX architect, and it will make your life very easy. With GetX CLI you can save your lot of time, and it will help you to develop the application in a faster manner. Okay, so now I will show you how to do the things with GetX CLI. So first we have to install the GetX CLI. So I already installed GetX CLI, so I'm not going to install. Just you have to paste this command pub global activate GetX CLI in your command line, and it will install. But sometimes what happen when for window user it doesn't work. So for window user what you can do, you can, if you already uh, install it, that's okay. If so, you have to deactivate if it's not working for you. Okay, then you have to downgrade the version, so you have to come with 1.6.0. After that it will install. If you are still facing issue and it's not working, then you have to set the environment variable. So you have to open the environment variable, and in the system variable you have to set the path. I'm sorry. Yeah, so you have to environment, click here in the environment variable, and you have in the path you have to set this path. Okay, so your under user folder, under C drive there is user folder. You have to choose your user folder. In the app data there is a local folder. In the pub folder catch bin, you have to set this path. After that you have to open your command line in window, and you have to check whether it's installed or not. So for checking this you have to write get -b. So you can see GetX CLI is installed. So it is there. I already installed it. Okay. But for Mac, you will not face this kind of issue. So let's create a project with the help of Get CLI. So to get a project, we have to write get create project. After that, it will ask get server project or Flutter project. So I am going to use Flutter project. It will ask Flutter project name. So demo of CLI. We have to give the package name. So com dot. Then it will ask which language are you going to use for iOS. So definitely I will recommend Swift for iOS, and same it will ask for Android as well. So I will recommend Kotlin, and then it will ask are you going to use null safety in your project. So definitely use null safety because uh, it is very helpful for your application. So type 1, and then it will ask for listener. So we are not going to use any listener, so we'll choose first of one. That's it. It will create a project for us. It will take some time to create the project, so be patient.
Oops. I just wanted to hop in MD while it creates the project, right? Oh, already done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's done. Yeah. After that, it will ask the architect. Okay. So there is GetX pattern and there is clean. Okay. So I am very familiar with the first option. Okay. So I am going to use the first one. Okay, Simon. And it will wants to override Okay, so I will say yes, overwrite it, and it will create a GetX architect in our project. If you see, it created few folders. Okay, now done. We will close this CLI and we'll open in a code editor. So I'm good with Android Studio. You can use any code editor. You can use VS Code also. There is no problem. So this is my project. Just will open in GetCL. So here is our Flutter project. If you see, so if you see, they created a architect for us: data folder, module folder, a route folder. So if you see in the modules, there are three things: binding, controllers, and view. We'll get back to this. But first, let's check the main. If you see in the main, if you are using Flutter, core Flutter, then you will see there will be only material app. But when you develop with GetX, you will see there will be get material app. Okay, and here is the initial route. So if you go to route folder, there are two files. One is app pages and second is app route. So here is the path of the pages, and here you will see these pages get called with this get page method. Okay, so here we are initializing our initial route. Okay, and these are pages. So we are loading all the pages at a time. So let's come back to this. So under home, okay, if you see, we have bindings. Under controller, we have home controller, and in the view, we have view. So GetX basically use MVC kind of pattern. Okay, so our business logic is under controller, our design is under view folder, and the binding binds the data between view and controller. So that is the work of binding. Okay, so suppose now I want to create one more page for our mobile application. So just we will write get create page in the CLI and the page name. Suppose I want to create a screen for login. So I just write login and it will create a login screen. So let's refresh it. It is saying it's created, but it is not showing here. Okay, let me try again. Okay, get create page sign up. I think there is something happening. If you see, it's created. Let me catch restart. Maybe because of catch. So if you see, it's created here in the folder, but it was not showing in the Android Studio, maybe because of catch. So yeah, now we can see. So it's created. We already we type two command for one for login screen and one for sign up screen. So you can see these two folders are created here. One for sign up and one for login. If you see, whenever we create project, there will be three folders: binding, controllers, and view for every screen. Okay, so that is we already. Now one more thing. more controller under the login. Okay, suppose I want to create a dialog controller under the login controller. So for that, it dialog on login. So we have to write a command like this: get create controller name dialog where on the login folder. So when we type this, it will create one more controller under login. You can see dialog control. Same thing we can do for view as well. Okay, so get create view dialog view on login. You see it created a view folder as well. So it's very easy to create the folders architect with the help of getCLI. You can create manually, but getCLI make things easier for us. So getCLI is much better to create the things, and it just using few commands you can create this thing. Suppose I have a model, I have a API, get API. So here I have a get API, and I want to create a model for this. Okay, so if we create a model manually, it is going to take a lot of time, maybe 20-30 minutes. And with the get CLI we can create model just within few seconds. So get generate model from, and we have to give the path. So here is our API's data. So we type the command get generate a model from this API data. I will it will ask the model name. So I am giving, it's a movie model. Enter. And if you see under data, under models, it's created model and it's a written code for us. So that's amazing. You don't have to write the code for model as well. So that is the thing. And it created a provider as well. So provider where we do the things, API related things. If you see, they created two methods, get movie method and post movie method. You can edit it, no problem. If as your need, you can edit it. Okay, suppose we want model but we don't want provider. So for that, in that case, you just have to skip the provider. So at the last you have to write skip provider. So it will only generate model, not the provider class. Model name, another model I am giving. So if you see, it created one more model, but it doesn't created provider because I skipped the provider. Same way, if you want to create provider, you don't want to generate model. So just you have to write, let me see the command, get create provider name like one. So I am saying create one provider where in the data folder. So if I type this command, you can see under provider, I created one more provider, but without model. So that is one thing we can do with the get CLI. There is few more things we can do with the get CLI. Suppose I want to add some dependencies in my pub spec. Okay, so you can add the dependencies in your pub spec using get CLI. So for that, you just have to write get install and the dependencies name. Suppose I want to install camera dependency. So I will write the command get install camera, and you will see in the pubspec YML here is camera, and it will install the latest one. Okay, suppose I want other version of, I don't want latest one, I want old version of any dependency. So for that, you have to define the version name. So suppose get install. I want to install Flutter SVG dependency, but I want the older version. So for that, I have to uh, define the version. So Flutter SVG 1.1.2. I want this version. I don't want latest one. And you will see here it is. So it's very easy to add the dependencies here. You can add manually as well, no problem. But yeah, you can use the get CLI. If I want to remove the camera dependencies from our PubSpec, just you have to write get remove camera, and it is removed. Yeah, so I think I covered most of the useful command from getCLI. For more information, you can go to PubSpec and you have to just search getCLI and you can see all the commands here, and also you can see how you can use it. So here is a good documentation. You can follow this documentation for getCLI, and I think it is very helpful. So let's move to our next thing. So I created a now let's move to GetX. Okay, this was just get CLI. So for GetX, I created a small sample application. Let me show you the application first. So here I created a simple movie application where I am listing movies from IMD. These are upcoming movies. Okay, and here if you see here movie genre overview of movie, and in the background there is a movie poster actually. So this is just a simple application which I created to show how we can develop application in GetX. Okay, so let me open the that code. So first in the PubSpec you will see whenever you create project here it will add get nothing is GetX. Okay, and for this for image I used cache network image dependency, and there is one more thing, connectivity plus. So suppose you are using application and you lost your internet, so for that I use this connectivity plus dependencies. So if you see here in the main, here I am initializing the app. In the app you will see I have a theme. Okay, so I created my own custom theme. So if I go to theme folder, in the theme you will see I wrote all the color code and all the stuff in my theme. So you can define your own custom theme. You don't have to follow the Flutter theme. You can create your own custom theme style. And after that I am initializing the dependencies injection. So if you see under utils folder, I created a file called dependency injection where I am initializing network service. And in the service folder, I written code for the network service. So what I am saying on listen, if there is no network, just show this dialog box. Okay, so that's it. If there is network, just redirect to home page. Okay, so as I explained you in the previous get CLI demo that we have separate 3 files for every screen. Okay, so this is our home screen basically. So here in the view page you will see this is the design. Okay, and in the controller I have logic. Okay, where I am calling fetching movies from movie provider. So if I go to data, there is a provider, there is a movie provider, and here we have two methods, get movies and get movie by ID. Both are get method. For get method, just you have to get. That's it. And we are extending get connect. So if you are if you will create project with Flutter, core Flutter, so most of the time people use HTTP or DO for calling the APIs. But in GetX you don't have to install any dependencies for the internet. Just you can use the get connect. Just you have to extend the get connect and you can do the APIs operation with the get connect. So that is one more benefit of GetX. Okay, so it doesn't require any one more dependencies for network call, for APIs call. Okay, so now if I go to root, You can see I already explained this root, uh, I guess. And we have a widget folder. In the widget folder, if you have any global widget like button, dialog box, so you can write that global widget under this widget folder. And in the utils, you can write your constants folder, dependency injection, and these things. If you have like any coding thing, you can logic thing for global logic thing, you can write in the utils folder. And this is themes where you can define your themes, you can define your fonts and all this stuff in the theme folder. And service basically for we use service folder for network push notification, local storage. For these things we use service folder. And routes, there will be routes basically. So now let me show you. Suppose if I want to go from one screen to another, you will see just I am writing get dot to name and I am passing to this screen. And if you want to pass some arguments value, you just have to use this argument parameter and you can pass data as a list or as a object, whatever your wish. And you can get this data easily in another screen just using get dot arguments and the parameter. Okay, and here is a null safety. If there is no data, by default it will be 0. Okay, so and for showing the data I used rx. So if you see, I use the rx list rx bool. So rx is basically uh, after rx you will see there is a obs is nothing but observable. Okay, so suppose it will always listen, there is data, there is data. If there is data, it will show at the same time. So showing the rs value, you have to use obx. So obx, under obx you can show the rx value. So for suppose I want to use this value is loading in my view. So if you see, it is extending get view, and under get view I have home controller. So I can access the home controller data in the view page, just controller dot variable name. So this is very easy actually, and here I can use like that. So just you have to write controller and your variable names and variable or function method, and you can use it. So this is overall thing I think in the GetX. You can download this repo from my GitHub repository for better understanding. So that's it, Simon. And let's talk about other. I'm sorry. So
Wow.
GetX community. Yeah. So
Okay.
GetX community is very good. Okay. Here is one documentation for official GetX. Okay. Just you have to read this one documentation and you will understand what are the things there. Okay, and they recently updated this documentation, actually last day only they updated. Okay, so it is very good. And there is extension for GetX also, for VS Code and Android Studio as well. So you can install GetX Synapse extension in your code editor and it will very helpful. But the thing is that is old. So before installing, just check you are using the latest Android Studio or latest VS Code, then I don't think it will support. If you are using the old one, definitely it is going to support. And you can join their community. So you have to click on the community, and they have basically on Slack, Discord and Telegram. So you can join their community, and they are very helpful. So if you have any question or if you have you are stuck somewhere, you can just raise your question in this community and they will guide you. So that is very good thing. So you just go through with this documentation one. And yeah, so in conclusion, what I want to say, if you are developing Flutter app, definitely use the GetX because it will minimize lot of your work. Okay, and GetX CLI can automate most of the things like creating the folders, creating the architect and pages and all this stuff. So GetX, with the help of GetX and GetX CLI, you can build a good app and in a very less time. And there are so many things for state management that you can use. I think we can't cover in this small session, but yeah, it's a very good tool. And the good thing is rx library. Okay, so with the help of rx library you can make more better app. So that is one thing. So if you have any question, you can ask.
Wow, Andy, that was absolutely great. I think you just built an application in what, just about 20 minutes?
No, no,
uh,
I already built basically, just I showed.
mhm.
So yeah, you can download the repo. So here is my GitHub account. Just you have to clone this repo. That's it, and you can see all the things.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. I see you had already a quick question. Emily. I mean, this is not along the lines of the GetX, but I see you using Android Studio, right?
Yeah,
But I see quite a few folks also using VS Code, isn't it?
yeah. VS Code is also good. It's depend on what you are in good at. So I am very comfortable with the Android Studio. That's why I'm using Android Studio. If you are comfortable with VS Code, you can use VS Code. I am also using VS Code sometimes. So for VS Code, you don't need to do anything. Just open the VS Code and you have to install few extension for Flutter. So just you have to click on the extension, and there you need to install two extension. One is Dart.
Hmm.
So Dart, you have to install this extension, and one is Flutter. In Android Studio also you have to install this two extension. Okay.
And I think if I'm not wrong, it says if you install Flutter extension, right, then it will automatically install the Dart extension. I think I just read it somewhere. No,
Mm,
no,
I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
I
I
never
tried it.
tried.
I
Yeah.
tried it couple of weeks back. I installed the Flutter, and the Dart was already there. I was like, okay, maybe,
Yeah.
might
So
be okay.
basically, Flutter is built on Dart. So yeah, definitely it will support, I think.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
For VS Code, you have to install these two application, and for Android Studio as well. So if you go to settings, uh, so under plugins, if you see, I already installed it. So I installed Dart and Flutter.
Hmm.
Okay. So that so you can use any editor. There is no problem. And most of the Flutter developer use VS Code, but I am only comfortable with Android Studio. And
Yeah.
VS Code is very lightweight compared to Android Studio.
Yeah, I see a lot of folks using VS Code, and just on the lines of MD setting up your system, right? And I know these questions are coming from my end. Do you actually install Java? Do you also have to install Java when you install Android SDK or Android Studio?
So previously, when we are installing, we required Java, but now we don't require Java. You just have to install the Android Studio. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and after that you have to download the Flutter SDK from the Flutter
Oh.
official website. Okay, and you have
Mm-hmm.
to extract anywhere. So if you
Mm-hmm.
see, I extracted, I created a folder in my C, and there you will see I have lot of different version of Flutter. Okay,
Hmm.
so for now currently I'm using this. So extract your Flutter SDK folder. Okay, and you have to click on Flutter. Under bin, you have to copy this path and you have to set in environment variable. So let me show you. So in my environment variable, if you see, here is the path. That's it. And Flutter is installed. Flutter installation is done.
Wow. Yeah, I
Okay.
remember you showed it in the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was for get CLI.
Oh
I
yes, that
didn't
will get
show for
CLI. Yeah.
Flutter. And if
Wow.
you are using Android Studio, then you just have to go to settings and language and frameworks. You will see there is a Flutter. And here you have to keep the path of Flutter. Flutter SDK. That's it.
Okay, so let's take a question coming from Abhishek. Abhishek, thanks for joining in the live show. Abhishek is asking, I have a Windows machine. Can I test my Flutter app on iOS simulator with the same machine? He's on Windows and he want to test iOS application, iOS build. How will he do
Yeah,
that?
yeah, that is the one problem. I think you can't make the iOS build in the window machine. For that,
Hmm.
you required uh, definitely Mac. Okay, if you don't have Mac, try to get from your friend. Okay, so that is one problem I am also facing. So whenever I need to build something, I
Mhm.
use my another MacBook, okay, to build the iOS app.
Yeah, yeah, that's one way to do it. Will plugging, I mean, let's say I have an iPhone, then I can plug it in, right? Then I can maybe, but yeah, to build, he's asking to build it, right? Yeah.
No, no, you can't build it because you have window na. So for make the build of iOS, you required Xcode, Coca ports. Okay,
No.
so these
So
things.
can I also not use it as an external device and run it just the way I can connect an Android device, right? And I can run my apps on an Android phone using USB cable. Can I not do that with iPhone?
No, you can't
Oh
because
wow.
you
Look at
required
Apple.
Xcode to build. Yeah, you required Xcode to build the applications. Yeah, so you have to install Xcode, Coca ports, and then you can build it.
Oh, I see, I see. Abhishek, I hope that helps out. Looks like I
But
have to
if you
get a
have
Mac.
Mac, then you can do both. You can do iOS and Android. But if you have Windows, then you can only do Android. So that is one problem.
Looks like, yeah. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I think that is one way to look at it, right? That you'll have to have a machine. And if you're working for a company, then you'll definitely get it, right? The company will provide.
Yeah,
But yeah, if you're,
company definitely provide.
but if you're learning, then building even on Android is absolutely okay. The other part should not be a tough, right? Building it in iOS should not be tough. People one can figure it out.
Yeah,
My
it's
wife.
really easy. So when I was doing coding on the Flutter, so I always used to have Windows. Okay, and one day I required to build the app for Mac. Okay, then I said my boss, I required Mac to build the iOS application, and I just connected with the AnyDesk. Okay, and I built the application remotely, and
Wow.
it just took a few hours to make the build in iOS. It not that much hard. You just have to configure few things like Xcode, and you have to install Coca port, and that's it. And you can easily build the same application in iOS. So that is the beauty of Flutter.
Yeah, that's really nice. So let me ask you this, MD. I won't take much of time. I know you are at the office. Now
No,
you
no
guys.
problem.
So
My room is very near.
okay, okay. So I see you're a big admirer of Dart and this Flutter ecosystem, and you really love it, and you like to advocate around it, right? And then you always say it's pretty easy to go and learn, right? Dart is easy in itself, and if you know Dart, then learning Flutter is a piece of cake. But let me ask you this: on your journey of becoming a Flutter developer from a PHP developer, right? What are a couple of roadblocks, or what are some of the challenges you faced or you face in your day-to-day life while working with the Dart? For instance, if someone would ask me around the React, I would say understanding React hooks is can be a little challenging for the beginners, right? So is there anything around Flutter that people face challenge while they're learning it?
Yeah, so when I started Flutter, I found there asynchronous programming. Okay, so before I don't know there is asynchronous programming. I just heard in the JavaScript somewhere, but I
Mhm.
never used. Okay, but when I moved to Flutter in the Dart, it's totally asynchronous programming. So that is one new thing. Okay, and for changing the state, I always used to use a stateful class. Okay, that was
Mhm.
very bad. Habit to use a stateful for everywhere. Okay, and to change the state, I always used to set a state. I don't know there are for like architect like block architect or GetX and provider. So I don't knew about this. So later I knew about this. Then I started using, and I found yeah, it's very easy to change the state, and I don't have to write every time set a state in a stateful widget. So these are
Mhm.
the thing by um, learning I've found. Okay, yeah, but in the difficulty, I came from the backend developer, so I was not good enough in the designing. So
Yeah.
I have to more focus on the designing thing. Okay, but designing the components and designing the screen in Flutter is very easy. Once you practice, it will be easier next time.
Okay, that's good. I see. While I was going through some of the videos from the Flutter team, they said that the Flutter team itself comes from a web development background, right? So if you come from a web development background, then learning Flutter is going to be very easy for you. Even if you know CSS and all, it should be pretty easy because it lies around the same understanding of the web development. Anyway, MD, that was absolutely great session. Thank you once again. Any final thing you want to add before we end the show today?
Yeah. So if you know Flutter, okay, and
Mhm.
if you know a little bit about Flutter, then move to GetX. Don't jump first time in the GetX. Okay. So first build some small application in Flutter, then jump to GetX. And yeah, try with RX library. I will definitely recommend, and it will be very good.
Okay. Okay, all right, Emily. Thank you so much once again. It was lovely having
Yeah.
you. We'll host you once again. All right, we have a Flutter show coming in. You are the one who has asked us to literally start a Flutter show, right? And you have helped us get couple of also recommended couple of guests, not couple of a bunch of guests. So we'll see you in that show very soon. Most probably, we'll start it in the Q2 after the fall. So thank you so much once again, and thank you so much everyone for joining us this live show. Yeah, and we'll see you very very soon. All right,
Yeah. Thank
MD.
you, Simon.
Tara, bye.
Bye bye. Bye
Take
bye.
care.
Take care. Bye.